My best month as a 16-year-old was probably $50,000. I was like, holy crap, I don't even have this product yet. And there's 4 grand. The next day, 7K. The next day, 9K, 11, 13. And then by the end of the week, we had $250,000.
What did you do with the money that you were making at such an early age?
Really stupid things.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Asian Founder Story. Today I'm here with my good friend Jason Wong, who I've known for 5+ years.
Oh, way more than that.
Way more. Let's just start off by introducing who you are to our audience.
Hey, my name is Jason Wong. I am an entrepreneur. I started when I was 14 years old in the marketing space and then got into branding, and then now I'm in the manufacturing space. Great to be here. We met, I think 7-8 years ago, actually.
I think I had you at my first event in LA.
Very, very first event.
You're talking about memes.
Yep, full circle.
You actually got me into the world of marketing, believe it or not. You
No
were one
way.
of the early inspirations that I had because I didn't know what that was. I saw you were young. I graduated college and I was just figuring out what the heck to do. And then I heard your story and it inspired me to research into the meme space. And then I kind of built a business out of it.
Yeah.
So thanks to you.
Love that.
It worked out pretty good. Why don't you share to our audience a little bit about your meme days and how that changed your life?
To go into that, I need to go back to high school. I was going to high school in Florida at the time, and I had a really good friend. His name was Naman Shah. You know, he was just a regular kid, but he had a side hustle online where he was posting content on blogs. And back then, the medium was called Tumblr. This is like 2012, 2013. And he was like, Jason, you got to hop on the blog with me. Like, we're posting content, we're making some money, getting clicks on Google Ads and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I got a blog. We promote each other. I got some followers, and I got into a niche of posting meme content. And I was just creating content every single day throughout class, every single minute, not even paying attention in class, just creating memes. And I realized that there was a whole business into it that people didn't really realize. Most of the time, people back then were just posting content for the sake of posting content. They didn't really get to the point of monetizing it yet. And I realized that there are affiliate sites, there are PPC campaigns you can do with Google Ads, there are brand campaigns that you can do with different retailers. But even back then, this is before you had to put a hashtag on your post. This is way before that. So once I figured that out, I was like, okay, I have to make this bigger. So I started buying other people's blogs. Eventually got to a point where I had over 32 million followers across the network on just memes.
Wait, where'd you get the capital to do this?
From one blog, I started making money to buy another blog and just kept buying and buying and buying.
What was the first, good month of revenue that you made from this endeavor?
Oh, the first couple months, I was just making a few $100 when I first started.
Okay.
$100 a day. We were just doing Google Ads. There was another site called My Likes where you can click through galleries to earn money for every click. But going back to the point of like people didn't really realize what the value of their blogs were. They were just posting content for the sake of posting content. So I was buying blogs for a few $100 and making that back in a few days. My best month as a 16-year-old was probably $50,000.
A month?
Yeah, I was running affiliate ads. There were a couple offers that we were running back then, neutral offers, supplement offers, survey offers. But 50K took me years to achieve.
Right.
And then eventually I realized that there's probably some more money in building my own brand. And that's how I started my first brand, Trendy Co.
Talk about that.
Trendy Co was a clothing company where I took the most popular and trending images on Tumblr and made it into merch. And I didn't know dropshipping. There was no print on demand back then. I literally just took what was trending and made it into shirts and pants and hats. So like popular cultural events, the presidential election, I made a whole merch collection about that. When Drake dropped the Hotline Bling video, I dropped a sweater about that. So taking culturally relevant moments and putting into merch was my first idea. And it worked because I basically had zero marketing spend. I could just post it across my entire blog for free.
Right.
And it was great to have zero marketing spend. Once you have to spend money on Facebook and Google Ads like we do now, that's when things get a little expensive.
Sounds like a lot of profit back then. What did you do with the money that you were making at such an early age?
Really stupid things. I didn't really come from money. So when I first got money, I was like, well, I'm going to do things that I want to do. And a lot of them went into experiences. And I regret I don't regret spending any of it.
Yeah.
But like buying my friends things, taking them on trips, buying food for everyone, buying myself a car, it's the regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that if I had been taught financial literacy at a much earlier age, I probably would be much better at saving. But because I spent it on experiences, I still don't regret it. I
Yeah.
could have spent it better though.
What's one of the best experience that you can remember?
Yeah, there's so many. I go on so many trips. I think they're equally fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to go on vacations a couple times a year, travel to new countries. And the main goal of traveling to these countries was to experience something that is completely different than what I'm used to in America, looking at different business opportunities in different countries. So my favorite trip was to Japan. I hiked Mount Fuji,
Wow.
learning about how they do business there, any products I can bring back to the US. Doing the same thing in Hong Kong, my hometown. So just a lot of travels across the world that I absolutely enjoyed.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I want to dive deeper into your humble beginnings. You said you didn't come from money. Talk about what it was like growing up as younger Jason. I know you started younger, but the dirt days.
Yeah. Long story short, my mom and I came to America when I was 8. After my parents split apart, I went with her to New York, and we didn't really have a house, so we lived with relatives. And in the Chinese community, especially within our hometown, everyone are restaurant owners. So we own Chinese takeouts, or we as in my extended family. So we just stay with whoever would take us in. And since I was 8, I was basically working in the back of those restaurants. There are memes about like Chinese kids on iPads at Chinese takeout restaurants. That was me, right? Like I was given a laptop very early on to keep myself busy. I will work there as a kid in the back peeling shrimp. Eventually I could cook. I'll cook a little bit. And then eventually I spoke the best English out of everyone in my family because I went to school here. Then I became a cashier. So I worked in every single position since I first came to America when I was 8, all the way up to my teenage years. I would say all those experiences, looking back, are all contributing to what I have today. It taught me a lot about hard work. It taught me a lot about being ambitious. But at that time, it definitely sucked. Seeing your kids, your friends go out to have fun, having their sleepovers, going on their trips, and never really getting to do that. So I think as I became older, having the ability to do that, I started to do a lot of things I didn't get to do as a kid. So going on trips, going out, doing all these things for my friends and family that, I couldn't afford to back then.
Were there any specific memories you have that you felt lost or didn't know what was next?
Oh, absolutely. I went to school not thinking I'll ever touch entrepreneurship. Like that concept didn't exist to me. And I feel like people's ceilings are as high as the room that they step into. So growing up, my room was my family's business, their restaurant business. I was thinking maybe making $80,000 a year would be the greatest thing on earth. And then you meet a couple professionals, the lawyers, the doctor, and they make 200. You're like, yeah, I want to make 200K. And so the ceiling was as high as I would let myself surround myself with. And I felt lost because I wanted to be a doctor, thinking that that was the most high paying job, not because I was motivated to do it, not because I care about medicine, but because I want to make money. But then I'm not good at school. That's the kicker. I was terrible in school. I had trouble paying attention to class. Later, I realized I had ADHD, but it was undiagnosed for so long. I would say that was the most lost moments when I was studying to be a doctor, not knowing what I actually want to do and not being good enough to be the doctor that I said I was going to be. But thankfully around that time, around the 14, 15-year-old age, I started making money on the internet. I never take it seriously though. It didn't really become real to me until I started making the 50, 60K a month when I was 17. I was like that period of time where I was still one foot in the door of being a doctor and maybe going to med school, and then the other foot in the door of, hey, I'm making some money online, but it's not that real. It's not that concrete. Maybe I'll lose it all tomorrow. That's when I felt lost the most.
Yeah, because you said you had a tough start, but then you also experienced success at such an early age. How do you think that impacted you mentally? Because most of your peers, they're not making close to what you are, and you're living a totally different lifestyle.
Make me appreciate what I've done because you can literally see the gap between you and your peers. And I think everyone has their own path. I have a lot of peers who are extremely happy in their career path, and that's great for them. Some of my peers are not risk takers, and the stuff that we're doing, building a company, having a lot of people on payroll whose livelihood depends on us, that's a lot of risk that I think a lot of my friends won't take. And that's okay. But I think it ultimately forced me to move into a place where I felt most connected with other founders. So towards my later years of high school, junior and senior year, so grade 11 and 12, I was in Toronto with my mom. I felt that Toronto was too small. I felt that the ceiling was too low. No one wanted to be a founder. Everyone wanted to go into a big four. They want to do business. They want to do accounting. And so as soon as I turned 18, I had some money saved up from all my blogging days and my e-commerce days that the day after, literally one day after my birthday, where I can legally sign papers for myself, I moved to California.
Orange County?
Yeah, Orange County, and just stayed in Irvine.
You just got a place to yourself for the year, I'm guessing?
No, I rented a room in someone's house.
Okay.
Got a car,
Nice
and
car?
just figured it out. Yeah,
Was that,
that
yeah?
was the Beamer, the BMW I bought.
Blue one? Was this sky blue one? I thought you had
No,
a sky blue
that
car.
was a black one. The sky blue one's a Mercedes.
Oh, no, I remember. I remember
Yeah.
the black one.
The black one, and then I had a couple other cars after that. But yeah, it's like I finally moved out, have my own place, have things and material possessions I can call mine. Like
At 18.
I never had that before, right? Like I've never owned anything back then, and being able to do that, I think, was one of the biggest milestones for myself.
Yeah. Wow. While most people are going to college, you're here living this lifestyle that you can afford whatever you wanted. Do you think that kind of impacted you in any negative ways in your early or later teenager days / early 20s?
I mean, there's always pros and cons to making it big earlier age. I
Yeah.
think one is that it sets a very high pressure for yourself to consistently overachieve what you achieved the year before. So if I'm making X amount at 16, I'm like, man, I have to keep going and keep going
We're
higher.
talking multiple six figures now, right? At
Yeah.
this point.
And the thing is, on the years and times that you don't hit it, you feel like an absolute failure.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the people, they get out of college at age 22 and 23, and they get a job, and 3 years later, where I'm at, they start making money. But because I started making money at a much more early age, I have such high bar for myself that I become my biggest critic.
Yeah.
I become the biggest person who will put myself down because I didn't achieve what I did 10 years ago. And it can be a very bad spiral if you don't take yourself out of it. And
Yeah.
I've definitely been in those places where there are years where I didn't do well. There
Yeah.
are many, many times where I failed. I've started a number of businesses that never took off. And those times you really, really beat yourself up because you started early, you started young, you started successful. I would say that's probably one of the biggest downfall.
Yeah, I wanted to share more of the behind the scene because, again, I think we all see the nice pictures on Instagram. What are some of the low moments that people don't know about you?
Low moments. Been near bankruptcy twice. There are times
Yeah.
when things just didn't work out. Especially running a business, there are so many moving pieces. You have so much expenses. You have payroll. You have operating expenses. You have warehousing costs. You have yada yada yada, and you're kind of just fighting for it to keep going up and up and up. And you invest into these things on up and up and up. Oftentimes, there are things that you invest into that might now have a direct ROI, right? If you put money into ads, you might get a sale today. But if you put money into inventory, you might not sell it 3-4 months from now. And there are some times when I launch a product and didn't do well and completely wipes out our profit, completely wipes our cash.
What types of investments do you have to put in for a product idea? I think that's something that general people don't understand. They just think, oh, let me go make a T-shirt or whatever, and or sunglasses. Let me just go buy a bunch. What's the economical cost?
Depends on what the product is. Some products you can get away with a lot less capital. For example, one of my products, the Holy Meme Bible, I basically started that company with $0. I did a pre-sale. I photoshopped a picture of the book. It was a coloring book of memes. I photoshopped that book, put it online, made a store, and I did about $250,000 a week. The first week I started, and I had zero product. I put $0 into it. Maybe like $20-$30 into the website. But then on the flip side, there are some products where I started where it took a lot more money because you need to put money into the initial design if it requires development costs. So R&D, maybe there's multiple product types you need to create, and that can range from a few hundred to a few thousand.
Do you
And
have any
then
bad products that you can share publicly?
yeah, yeah. I would say there are two distinct launches where it didn't work out well. One was a phone case company. Um, I still think it's a great idea, but it just ultimately was hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I made a phone case that looked like a Gucci slipper.
Mm.
2016, 2017, that was the thing, right? The Gucci slipper, the green,
Yep.
the red. And I made a phone case that looked like a miniature version of a Gucci slipper.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's kind of just like a meme. It's funny to look at, but it's not that practical because imagine putting a slipper in your pocket, right? It's just gigantic, but you could put your hand through the back and
Yeah.
it kind of holds like a pocket socket,
Yeah.
right? The thing is, it's funny in theory, but once you start selling it and getting some attention, you put yourself into a lot of legal risk for IP infringement.
Yeah. What
Right?
happened?
I mean, I basically launched it, and then my friends were like, "Yeah, that's a little risky. I don't think you should keep going for it." And I had so much inventory that I bought,
How
so
much
excited to
inventory?
sell. At that time, it was a lot for me, but I had like $5,000-6,000 of inventory
Okay.
that I just couldn't sell. I just threw it away. And the reason is for these products, because they're so customized, you can't just buy one or two. You can't just drop ship it. It was completely custom. Like the mold itself, the color, the designs.
So how much money goes? You said 5,000, but I would assume you spent a little more for the R&D part, right?
For that one, didn't really have to do too much R&D.
Okay.
They just had to clone the designs for it. Another product that didn't work out for me was I launched a condom collection. It was called the ramen condom, the ramen noodle condom. And the whole idea behind that was I saw a picture on Instagram where someone had like a chicken ramen a flavor packet in their wallet and it looked like a condom wrapper and everyone was laughing about that. And I was like, wait, what if I actually made that a thing? So I, went to a supplier who made condoms and I changed the packaging to look like chicken seasoning.
Yeah.
But instead of chicken, I put shrimp flavor. And the outside box looks like a ramen, looks like a top ramen box. I thought it was hilarious. People thought it was hilarious. The same thing, condoms do not just sell in one pack or two pack. You have to buy thousands of them because of a whole manufacturing run.
Wow.
So I put 10 grand into that product line thinking it's got to be hilarious when I launch it. It was great. Launch was great. And then someone flagged it to me and said, hey, by the way, condoms are a type 2 medical device in the United States, which is regulated by the FDA. And unless you have an FDA certified supplier and the license to sell it in the United States, you literally cannot sell that in the United States. It's like a medical glove. It's classified as that. And so I was like, okay, great. I just have a lot of inventory that I literally cannot sell. Amazon won't take it. If you go on Shopify, they might flag you for unauthorized sale of FDA products. So literally have to just trash the entire thing. So the short story here is that like I messed up a lot. And that's okay. Like every single one of those mess up just teaches me a lot of things that I never knew before. I didn't go to school for this. I just had to figure it out.
Yeah. It sounds, very good on paper when you share it. In the ramen example, you were selling it fine, right? No issues selling?
For a little bit. And then I realized I probably should stop.
Did somebody reach out to you from the, higher authority?
No. It's just like people flagged it. And it's good. Like I want friends to tell me when they look out for me,
After
right?
you spend tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. I didn't announce it to the world I'm about to do it because what if someone else take the idea? But these are lessons. There are a lot more procedures that you have to go through to make sure that the product that you're selling can actually be sold. And oftentimes people overlook that because the design's good, the product's good, maybe I can just sell it.
Yeah. Now talk about a success case study of a product that works, such as the lashes or anything like that.
I think the most fun product is not the lashes, but more on the meme coloring book. This is one of I would say the first brand I did where it actually blew up. This is back then when meme pages were very popular, a lot cheaper than what we have right now. I basically made a coloring book. Think of it like a yearbook of the year's most popular internet trends, cultural moments, memes, and I made them into crossword puzzles, hangman, word search, maze, coloring, like any pastime activities that you can think of. I made a meme version of it into an entire book. Like I said, the first time I launched it, it was purely a joke. I didn't even plan that it was going to be successful. I photoshopped a picture of the book. There's Photoshop templates of book rendering so you can just paste onto. And then I made an ad on Tumblr. but the ad was basically a Photoshop version of a news article. But I blocked out the logo, but it looks like an article. It looks like a BuzzFeed article or a Mashable article back then. And the title, I put it as like, this is the year's most popular Christmas gift. I launched it on December 3rd with that ad, and it blew up. I think I got 120,000 likes or notes back then. In 2-3 days, the first day I launched it, I made $4,000. I was like, holy crap, I don't even have this product yet. And there's $4,000. The next day, 7K. The next day, 9K, 11, 13. And then by the end of the week, we had $250,000.
And you literally said, hey, this product isn't available. Take probably 2-3 weeks to ship. Do you want to pre-order it?
Oh, it wasn't even a pre-order. Like I literally launched it not thinking people were going to buy it. And so money's in Shopify, money's in an account. I still don't have a product. I literally do not even have a physical copy of it. Every single photo of that product was photoshopped. And so I freaked out. I went to a local print shop and I was like, hey, I know this is a tight timeline, but you have to do this for me. And so I printed out all the books and I fulfill it all out of my bedroom. There's literally pictures I can show you of me driving to the post office with like hundreds and thousands of books, as much as I can fit in my car.
Wow.
It was little yellow envelopes. I stuck it in, seal it, put it in a trash bag, and I just went to the post office and drop it off. And I did that from December. I think I finally got the product around December 10th.
20,000?
This is 2016.
Okay.
For the next few days, I just fulfill orders.
You didn't have friends help you out, or?
I had a couple of friends that helped me out, of course.
Your whole apartment's probably.
Oh yeah, it was a fulfillment center.
Dang. And who made these books for you? Just a local shop down the street?
Local print shop. I think at that time, like, I used someone from SF who rush shipped it and rush produced it. And the second year, I had a manufacturer in China that did it for 70-80% off. And then afterwards, I started launching different categories within what I call the company Think Tank. And I launched a cookbook, I launched a board game, I launched a candle collection, and I launched a bath bomb collection all around the
I remember
theme.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that became a business on its own.
And did all of them do well?
Some of them did better than others. I think
Okay.
I think the board game was the one I had the biggest hope for, but the hardest one to sell. I think conceptually it was a lot harder to do compared to something like What Do You Mean?
Yeah.
Which came out around the same time.
Yeah.
But the coloring book did really well. The cookbook did well. Bath bomb did really well. Candles did okay. Candles, I think, was also tough because I didn't foresee how much breakage there would be shipping glass.
Oh.
Yeah, that was something like, you have to do it to learn it, or you learn from someone who's done it before.
Yeah.
But early days, didn't really know that.
What's the typical lifespan of these products? Because obviously today you don't do a lot of these products, right?
For the coloring book, the challenge for the coloring book is that it's very seasonal because you have to collect the year's memes into a book. And so I started collecting it in October. And then I'll print it late October, get it shipped here in time for November for Black Friday, and then people will buy us a Christmas gift for December. So I only really have 3 months of revenue for a coloring book, but it was a lot, basically made up for the whole year. For all the other products, it was quite evergreen, but the challenges with memes, the trends change so fast. I think back then memes could go on for months. Now it goes for days, maybe even within hours, it just dies.
Yeah.
And with the trends dying a lot sooner now, there's no point for me to do something like that.
Right. So then you have to close up the idea or it's going to be negative, right? So today, what are you working on that excites?
Yeah, past few years, I was in the e-commerce space in the makeup category. And a few years ago, I started on the side, on top of the e-commerce brand, a sourcing and logistics company called Saucy, where we help brands handle their overseas supply chain logistics. But the one thing that I'm very excited about is that we recently launched Packing Duck, which is a packaging manufacturing business. We basically got equity into 2 factories in China. I invested into them, and I'm trying to bring them directly to the consumer. Most brands actually do not get their packaging from a actual factory. They get it from a middleman. And so they're paying an absurd amount of markup for these packaging. And so my business idea is we're the factory. We're going to go directly to you. We're going to save you 20, 30, 40% of your packaging. And we're going to do a pretty good job at it.
Talk about how you got some of your early day clients.
Early day clients were through friends. Because I was in the e-commerce space already, I think I had a head start because I was able to just do packaging for my own brand as an example, and then doing it for my other brands. We're actually doing it for Mad Happy. I see you wearing their
Oh,
sweater
yeah.
right now. So we're
Yeah.
doing all their bags, all their boxes. We recently just finished a project for Lamborghini Wine. We did the boxes for Starbucks on their Lunar New Year collection. So we've been taking on some enterprise accounts. And on top of that, the DDC brands that
Mhm.
people know.
Would you say this is your biggest company brewing yet, or
Yeah, I think the
potentially?
TAM's definitely a lot bigger. For me to make a million in DDC, I have to sell to 10,000 people.
Yeah,
For me
and
to
that's not
make,
even profit. That's what people they just see the revenue, right?
yeah, our margins are definitely a lot better on the supplier side. For me to make a million in DDC, I have to sell to 10,000 people. For me to make a million on B2B supply chain, I have to sell to maybe one or two people,
Wow.
right? Because the thing
Oh,
about
that's
packaging
true.
is
It's a
that it's
lot.
recurring, right? They're
Yeah.
gonna buy 50, 60K of packaging. They're gonna need it throughout the year, right? For me to make a million, realistically, maybe one client can order $1 million worth of packaging.
Yeah. And this is your primary focus right now, right? No more products that you're launching of your own.
No, maybe I'll get back into it down the line, but I find myself being a lot happier on the supplier side.
Mm.
I feel like that's what I'm really, really good at.
What burnt you out from doing so many products that made you not want to make it anymore?
I think the complexity of launching products and the time it takes to develop a product, and after doing it for 10 years, ultimately make me burn out. There's so much that goes into conceptualizing the idea, testing the idea, making prototypes, working with photography teams to get it photographed. For me to launch a product, it takes almost a year.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work out, you basically just wasted a year of your time.
Did that happen a couple of times?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It happens so much more often than people think. But that's the thing that most founders don't talk about, right? It's their failures. It happens so often. And after time and time again, you're like, yeah, maybe I should just try something else. And it's not that I'm throwing in a towel and say I'm quitting product. I just find myself being a lot more interested on the B2B supplier side.
Yeah.
But I've been doing products for so long now that I'm very, very happy to try something else.
Yeah. Do you think it's just the pressure of every month because, you know, you have to run advertising, and if your CPA some month looks totally off, I mean, it derails your whole operation for the month, right?
Yeah. And it's just a lot more saturated, it's a lot more competitive now. I think it's great that the barrier of entry to e-commerce is a lot lower now. It's great. There's a lot more people being successful from it. I've seen kids who are in high school making a lot of money that 10 years ago probably wouldn't be possible. And that's great. But it also means that for everyone else in the category, there's a lot more noise to filter out. There's a lot less money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of feeling that time for me it's near, right? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of taper off. I want to end on a high note.
Yeah. What's your end goal with what you're doing right now?
My end goal is to probably get some sort of financial security for my family.
Okay.
Something that never really had growing up. You know, getting my parents their own place, start a family, and the things that I want to have requires money.
Yeah.
Money isn't everything, but without money, you kind of can't do much, right? You can't help the world, you can't help yourself, you can't help your family. So obviously, one of the end goal is to achieve some kind of financial success where I don't have to worry that tomorrow will be my last day.
Yeah.
Because I think as a founder, there's always that thing looming in the back of your mind that, hey, maybe tomorrow everything will just go to shit.
Yeah.
I want to get to a point where I don't have that thought anymore. I'm not there yet, but that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah. Something else I want to ask about is just your community. You have a really tight group of people that you hang out with. Talk about how they've personally impacted who you are as a person and just your everyday life.
Yeah, growing up, I've always been around folks that are much older than me, especially working in a restaurant. I was the only kid there. So the people I talked to were the chefs, the people working, the waiters, the dishwashers, and they're in their 30s and 40s. So I've always surrounded myself with people older than me, and I learned so much wisdom from them. I think being around people that are that much ahead of you, you gain the most perspective that you just can't get from your peer group. And I took that when I moved to America from Toronto when I was 18. When I got to LA, I knew no one. I have zero friends. And I forced myself to be in these community of founders and entrepreneurs and people who I felt like I could relate to, who are 10 steps ahead of me. And I want to be that way. I wanted to put myself in every single room where I was the smallest fish. I wanted to be humble. I want to learn. I want to absorb. And today I still do the same. The group of friends I have around me are people that I respect and I feel like are equally ambitious. And they're pretty category agnostic. I have friends who are big YouTubers. I have friends who are, beauty moguls. I have friends who are billionaires who've done exits before. But every single one of these people I select based on certain criteria, such as, are they a good person? Do they do good in the world? Do they still have fuel in them, or are they just completely retired? I want people who still have the fire in them. Am I able to help them in the same way that they might help me in the future? So there's always some kind of value exchange. Not that it's transactional, but at least I want to be able to do something for them and vice versa. And so I have a pretty good group of people that really does push me, and that's what I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I notice you're on your social all the time. You're very consistent with who you choose to hang out with.
I think it's very true that you are the closest to the 5 people near you. You generally will start mirroring and resembling them, their drive, their ambitions, and their personalities. So it's very, very crucial for you to pick those people that you surround yourself with, because you start picking up habits, you start picking up things. And, you could totally go on the opposite direction and pick really bad people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the power's in your hand, right? To pick who is the 5 people closest to you.
Yeah. I have a question on just starting out. Let's just say, because we're talking about humble beginnings, if I came to you and I want you to kind of mentor me and show me the ropes, because you were saying, that's what you do for you look for people above. How does somebody with no experience just stand out without the experience in today's world? Like let's say I want to reach out to you to basically mentor me. How do I get on your radar where you genuinely want to help me?
To answer that, I'm actually going to use you as an example.
Okay.
Because I think what you did eight years ago when you first started Stacking Growth was very brilliant. You were just out of college. You were just trying to figure it out. And for you to get close to people that you deem very successful, you started interviewing them. I remember you were the MC, you were the host of the panels that I was on. And you got the connections because you were talking to these people. These people didn't even have to know your credential. They didn't even have to know that you just started. But the fact is that you asked really good question. You created a really good atmosphere that they felt comfortable in, and they want to share with you because of the atmosphere that you created. And so, I literally will use you as an example. If you want to be connected to people that are wildly successful and you're fearing that I can't contribute much because I'm not on the same level as them, well, first, take that mentality out. And second is just ask really good question. People love to share. People love to talk, especially good people, good, successful people. They love to share. They love to help the next generation. And it really comes down to you being proactive and say, hey, I need help. Can I ask you a question? No one's got to say no to that if it's a good question.
No, I love that. The last part I want to end on is just your legacy. You talk about being surrounded by good people. What are some of the acts of kindness that you've done that many people don't see? Because I know that's something you don't share too publicly about, right? But you just use this time to share a little bit, because I want to inspire people. I also believe, similar to you, just the value of giving back, right? You get something, but you kind of owe society something by paying it forward.
It's tough to say like good things I've done. Off the top of my mind, I help a lot of younger kids through mentorship for free, complete free. Whenever someone emails me and say, hey, can I get 15, 30 minutes of your time? Never charge for that. Of course, I'll hop on a call, answer your questions.
Yeah.
If you need connections to someone, I'm happy to extend my network to you. And, building a team and giving them a paycheck, a good job, and treating them well. Surprisingly, that doesn't always happen with every employee you work with. Just some of the things that I feel like are core principles to me. I wouldn't say that necessarily makes me a fantastic person, but I like to hold myself to that type of standard.
Yeah, love it. And then final part is, what's something that you need help with in your life?
So much. I need to learn how to cook.
Okay. Well, you're good already. I feel you always bring people together over food. I had to make it out to one of your get-togethers. Yeah.
Nothing too much I'm asking for. I launch a new business, and to promote my new business, I have a new content series where I break down how packaging is made. I tell you how much certain designer brands are making their bags, and I walk you through how they make it. Love to support, love a comment, love a like on my Instagram @Pug. But that's really it. I don't really want anything else.
Well, Jason, thank you so much. Hopefully this was fun for you too.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.